This show is made possible by the generous support of listeners just like you. Our show is about helping souls grow, prosper, and evolve, and every gift ensures that we can continue to do this. So we thank our generous supporters and also ask if you would like to be a part of supporting this important effort to bring this message of truth to the world. Please consider heading to experienceofthesoul.com/support to be a part of supporting us by being a regular patron or making a one-time gift. Blessings on the journey, dear friend.
Natural Awakenings Magazine, Zen Living Realty, and Supportek Staffing present The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly show featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 123, Morning Pages. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson and I'm the host. I am here in 818 Studios with my producer.
Hello everybody, this is Dave Croft. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 123 of the Authentic Spiritual Journey. I hope that you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. And today is November 2nd, and I gotta say, this is Shannon and my date-iversary. I don't know if
that is sweet.
I don't know if that's corny to celebrate, but our first date was November 2nd, 1992. And we went on our first date, and it's been, 28 years later? 20.
Wow.
I've lost count.
I guess you knew what you were doing, eh?
Yeah. And I'll let her tell the story. We bring her back on the show, but, she heard a voice that said, go to the music building, and that's where we had met before because we were both at Appalachian State, but that was the first night. Actually, it was the couple of days before that we connected, and then we made the date. She made me chicken.
That's so funny. Well, you know what, Dave? We could do a whole show on and let's plan on it, called Threshold Experiences.
Okay.
Because I think it's so amazing that you mentioned that, especially today, because it's show 1, 2, 3,
Mm-hmm.
and certain things do follow others, and one of those things is whatever way you meet a person, whatever that threshold experience is usually a very likely story that you will live out in your coupleship. And I'm just thinking, you were both musicians, you met at college, and your whole life together has been about making music, composing music, performing music, composing, and about learning as well, because you've both been students and teachers.
Yeah. And we met at school. And what's funny is she had called in sick to her job, which was in the music building that night.
Yeah.
And so then she heard the voice and came, and that's when we connected. But yeah, I've got a note of it. Threshold experiences. I like that idea. I like that.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about it over the last couple of years, and even more in the last several months. I'm doing a new degree program, and I continue to learn, and it's so exciting to take courses outside of my known field and really be educated and be made aware, because what it does is it expands my awareness in my own field of study. So I think it's going to really enrich the work we do here on the podcast channel, and certainly on this show. And today is a great day. Dave, I don't think you gave the title yet.
No, the episode title is Morning Pages.
Yes, Morning Pages. And I want to mention right away that I am doing a special course. I think it even starts tonight on Morning Pages. And so I wanted to start out the week with it, start out the month with it, because it's a wonderful spiritual practice, and it came out of my own practice and out of my own need for something that I could do every morning. And it has become such an anchor in my life and in my spiritual practice. So we're going to talk a little bit about it this morning and the importance of it. And then the class is only, it's just a few weeks, but it could really make or break, literally, your morning practice, because there's so much depth to it. It looks like just a single sheet where you fill out, a few blanks, but there's levels of awareness as you work with this, and we even include the chakras with it. And there's also another course this month I don't want to forget to mention, the I Am. And the I Am course is really important for really owning your higher self. So if you're really working on some of those things, either trying to develop your morning practice or really wanting to step into your higher self, either or both of these would really support you on the journey. And I want to encourage you to go to my website, CynthiaAliceAnderson.com, and click on courses. And there'll be more information there than you need probably. But we tried to give you enough to give you an idea, a sense of what is the takeaway. And in both courses, because they're short term, you should be able to work them into what is the beginning of a holiday season. But I can guarantee you this holiday season is going to be different from any other because most of us are going to be staying home. So these practices should take you through and help you prepare for the holidays as well. And that was the idea, that you can get grounded in the new spiritual practice. You can get grounded in your infinite self before, dealing with potentially triggering situations when you might be with family or such as that.
Yeah, and especially, this is going to be the first holiday that we have without Larry.
Yes.
And just every day, it's and Larry, if you're a new listener, Larry is Shannon's father. So my father-in-law, and he and his wife Judy, they live with us, and because we don't have kids, but we're able to support them in a multi-generational household. And Larry passed away last month, beginning of October, and so it's been almost a month, and we're still finding new ways that we miss him. But coming into the holidays,
it's tough,
and we're about this is going to be a whole year of the first blank without Larry, and so
yes,
and
many of our listeners know my mom made her passing at the end of September, and so it's the same for me and my family as well. Although her Alzheimer's was pretty advanced, so we didn't do a lot of holidays, but we would go either right before, during, or after a holiday, to spend time with her. So it'll definitely be a different holiday season, for us as well. And it's kind of interesting, Dave, that you mentioned that, and that I, was bringing all this to mind about my mom, because when, I was home a few weeks ago to help plan her memorial, and actually her memorial's later this week. And so finally, we just decided to get everybody together. And one of the key things in her spiritual practice was her morning spiritual practice, right? So every morning she got up, every morning she read her Bible, every morning there was a devotional, and I don't care what else was happening, you sat down and you did that.
Yeah, and with Larry, he would go get a cup of coffee every morning, and Shannon would wake up and go to her office and hear him kind of faffing about. I'm up really early, but I would always check and see like a little light underneath the door and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So definitely a morning routine. And we've talked about my morning routine here on the show, my miracle morning and my morning walks, which I've now had to extend to 3 miles instead of just 2.
That's awesome.
But mornings are very sacred times for me, I know.
They are. And so the title today, Morning Pages, is definitely about a morning spiritual practice. And I want to pause just to say the word morning spiritual practice. Over the years, I've often had people say, what if I want to do it in the evening? And I'll be honest, I was a little soft on that. And I would say, well, maybe you're a night person. The truth is, the morning is the best time to do anything. Even scientific research shows us that. I even did quite a bit of research going into the course, because I find it fascinating that now science is continuing to prove what we've believed spiritually for so long. And one of those things is that the morning is a very sacred time. One of those reasons is morning, there are less interruptions. It's also in nature, of course, when the sun appears to rise. I say appears to rise because, but when the sun rises every morning, and it's symbolic, of a new energy coming in, right? Like we are illumined, right, by the morning sun. And so The morning time has a real sacred energy. It's a time of newness. It's time when there's, beautiful dew on the grass. There's kind of this hush if you open the window, and maybe you'll start to hear a little bird, real early. So even nature knows it's a very special time energetically. At nighttime is about releasing. Nighttime is about darkness, and morning is about illumination. So it's not that you can't do it at night, but it's that there's more supportive energy for you to do it in the morning. Right. So that's why I'm always talking about a morning practice. And people say, well, you're probably just a morning person. And I say yes, but I think what I do is set an alarm clock because I can sleep in like the rest of you, I think, and like anybody. But I find that I feel like I'm a better person, that I'm more grounded, and that I'm more at peace in my spirit when I just get up a little bit earlier and, start my morning practice.
Yeah, and I think if you subscribe to any astrological occurrences, whether Mercury's in retrograde or any of that kind of thing, then it bears the logic bears out that then the sun coming up and the energy and solar radiation and all of that has an impact on it as well. I've tried to do an evening walk, and the energy is just different. It's just different. And Larry, speaking of Larry was a night owl. He never got up, in the morning. And Shannon isn't necessarily a morning person. However, she's usually in her office by, 8 in the morning. And so let's define morning. Morning doesn't necessarily mean like 5 a.m. Like for me, that's my morning starts at 5 a.m. Where do you see the morning boundaries being? For anybody listening, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not a morning person.
Well, what always feels best to me is just before sunrise, because I like to be up to experience that, that time where the sky gets, illuminated. To me, that's just, there's nothing more beautiful. And recently, Dave, you and I recorded in the morning, and I thought it was such a special energy. So I'd really like to do that again. So for me, it's just before sunrise. I usually rise around 6:30 latest, sometimes 5:30, depending on, what I've got. And when I speak, I usually get up very early, 5 or 5:30, because I do extended meditations in the morning. And I also go to sleep at night, the night before, so like if I'm speaking on a Sunday morning, I usually go to sleep meditating minimum of an hour. And then I wake up in the morning, and sometimes I'll do one lengthy meditation, sometimes 2 or 3. But the point, friends, is that I don't want, the sound of that for you to go, oh my gosh, there's no way I can meditate an hour. You may not be ready for that, but one day you will be if you start now. And all I'm describing is my practice. And again, the reason we're talking about this is because of the success I've had in my life, in my spiritual life, in my emotional life by doing these various practices. And the morning spiritual practice, I want to really encourage you to do, and a few things I want to talk about. One is, I want you, if you can, to have a special time, place, and routine. Like Dave was mentioning, hearing Larry in the morning, my mom in the morning, but before any of us were up, she'd already had her cup of coffee and done her, spiritual practice already. And, mine is very simple. And what I love about my practice is if anybody else is in the house or my son is up, then he knows if I'm doing my spiritual practice that is completely uninterruptible unless something is burning. So I have a very special time, very special place, very special routine. And the reason I do that is because it builds energy. It builds energy. And we learn just from doing anything on a regular basis that we build certain expectations when we do things a certain way at a certain time. I remember when I was first learning to play instruments, and, the first few times I was trying to do it, it felt kind of, clunky, and I didn't quite know what to do. Well, after about 3 months or 6 months or a year, wow, I knew exactly what to do when I picked up that instrument. There was no over adjusting or over explaining. I just would do it. And that was because of the muscle memory involved in, just basically because of the number of times I'd done it and, getting a consciousness around playing that instrument. Well, for our spiritual practice, which should be really the most important thing we do, then you want to build that same muscle memory around your practice. And so the more days you do it, and at the same time, in the same place, and a similar routine, it begins to build energy, and it's not as difficult to do your morning practice, including your meditation, because as you start to do it, your body goes, "Oh yeah, I know what this is. It's time to breathe a little deeper and a little slower, and relax, let go, be at ease." And this is what we seek to do. We also know the importance of intention, right? So in the morning, it's a beautiful time to set your intention for the day. During that special time, that special place, that routine, as you're building energy, set your intention for the day. And you'll find, right, that you are a lot more centered, a lot more grounded, and it will serve as an anchor for you through the rest of your day. And I want to encourage you, even if you think you're a night person, to try it in the morning. I want to make sure that you know that the morning time is a very, very special energy, and it is a time for you to relax, to let go, to be at ease, to center in to the God all around you and the God that you are, and the God that gets reflected in that beautiful energy, of the sunrise.
On my morning walk, every day I see the sun come up at a different time. And so now we are to the point where it's coming up. It's not up by the time I finish my walk, but all summer long,
Mhm.
I knew that my walk was coming to an end when the sunrise was occurring. And there's just, I don't know, there's so much potential in that
There
morning
is.
time. It feels, if when I sit down at my desk and it's 7 o'clock and I got like my walk and my shower and my little bit of exercise and all, I made coffee and everything, and I sit down and it's still 7 a.m. I feel like there's this just wide open road ahead of me
Mhm.
that's just waiting for me to go where it's going to take me. And I never really considered myself a morning person either.
Mhm.
I'm a musician. I'm used to playing gigs until 3 and 4 in the morning and all of
Right.
that. But it wasn't until this miracle morning kind of thing, which was driven, admittedly, on the beginning more from a vocational standpoint and career, but has turned into this kind of spiritual experience. But just that untapped potential is really,
Yeah.
really valuable. And it makes me feel like I'm accomplishing a lot already.
Well, yes, and I think you're exactly right, Dave. And that's the other piece I find is that I feel there's space around whatever it is I'm doing. And I'm going to get into the actual morning pages here in a few minutes, but I want to just give you the sense of, so often in our culture, and maybe it's just me, because I like to accomplish a lot in a day. And I had a friend the other day say, "My gosh, could you have packed any more into this day?" And I said, "Well, I thought about it." And so I've always loved to do, a lot. And I really learned that from both my parents. My dad and my mom were both very hard workers. And so, but what feels so nurturing and feels like really good self-care is that my journaling, my morning pages, my prayer work is not rushed. And I still sometimes have to remind myself during my morning practice that I don't have to rush. Like, I have plenty of time. If I want to spend 15 minutes on my I am, I can do that. If I want to spend 15 minutes on my gratitudes, I can do that. And sometimes it just feels really rich and prosperous to be able to spend as much time as I want on my spiritual practice, rather than trying to cram it in at lunch or do it when I'm exhausted sitting up in bed. So for me, the space that it allows me feels like a gift from the universe in itself. And, what I realize is if I did not set my alarm and take the time, I would totally miss that gift.
Hmm.
So it is incumbent upon you as a spiritual student, us as spiritual souls to say, how much does my spiritual practice matter? And how am I going to give it, the right time and space and energy so that I can be the person I want to be in the world? And yes, of course, we all have moments where we're not our best self, but as we, have these morning spiritual practices, you'll find that those moments are less and less because you've built an energy of intention, of spirituality, of your gratitudes, of doing your affirmation, of working with the universe of what's yours to do for the day. So we want to get into that, into the morning pages. And before I give you the different aspects of it, what I want you to know is the morning pages are a tool. They're not the only tool. They're not even necessarily the most important tool, but they are a wonderful tool for self-growth, for self-examination, for knowing yourself, and really seeking God's highest and best in your life. It's all about the most important facets of the journey and writing those down and committing to those, for a given day. So there are 5 main sections of the morning pages, and each section, the first one is called I Am, and we always do that one first, and I'm going to talk about each of these. So the first one is I Am, the second one is Gratitudes, the third one is Daily Task, the fourth one is Self-Care, and the last one is Affirmation.
Yeah. So let's take a really quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and we're going to get into each one of these on the other side of these few messages. We'll return to the program in just a few moments, but first, we wanted to give a special word of thanks to our podcast partner, Natural Awakenings Magazine of Central Florida, Greater Orlando. Each month, Natural Awakenings magazines across the country take a practical look at the latest natural approaches to nutrition, fitness, creative expression, personal growth, and sustainable living. Natural Awakenings magazine is a free publication and is available in selected stores, health and education centers, healing centers, public libraries, and wherever free publications are located. You could learn more, including advertising opportunities for your business, by calling 407-628-0705. We'd also like to give a special thanks to Zen Living Realty. Zen Living Realty's mission is to mindfully serve, connect, and positively impact their customers, partners, and community through their Zen approach to real estate. Their vision is to be the most trusted real estate brokerage in the Central Florida area. You can reach Zen Living Realty at zenlivingrealty.com or by calling 407-800-2717. And finally, we'd also like to give a special thanks to Supportek Staffing. Supportek Staffing is an innovative staffing agency built on the principle of caring about their employers and employees as they navigate these new workforce and workplace challenges. If you're an employer, they want to be your human resources partner and help with the changes needed during the pandemic. If you're a candidate, they want to become your lifelong career agent to help you grow into your fullest potential. Supportek prioritizes support over volume, integrity over profits, and will treat your business and your career as if it was their own. You can learn more at supportekstaffing.com. That's SUPPORTEK staffing.com. And now we return you to this week's episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey with your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Welcome back, and we are so grateful for all of our sponsors, for all the great energy coming into our show, and thank you, sponsors. And I'm so grateful, too, for all the sponsors who give, $2, $25, at whatever level you are sponsoring us, because it ensures more programs continue, and we are so grateful for that. We wanted to get into the actual document of the morning pages, and I wanted you to know, too, as my listener, that I had never really heard of morning pages, and then I had remembered years ago there's a book called The Artist Way, and in there it was called morning pages. There's certain writing you do every morning, but I learned nobody owns the term morning pages.
Right.
And so I thought, well, that accurately describes, what it is I'm doing and what I'm about. And many of you know who've taken some of my more in-depth classes that we do a lot of writing, a lot of journaling. And my first thought in creating these was for some of the men in the group that the word journal scared. And what I found is in my own work, this has super, super supported me. And so we'll start talking through it right away with the first one, which is in the center of the page. I am. I am. In my spiritual teaching, what I teach about the I am is that we never want to associate the words I am with anything negative. And so, on a daily basis, we go through life and we say, I am tired, I am sick, I am, hungry. And there's certainly nothing wrong with having a normal feeling of being tired or sick or hungry. But we don't want to use our I am in that way. We want to use our I am in the positive and in the spiritual. So remember, if you grew up with the Bible, you know that when Moses had his experience at the burning bush, that he said, who do I say, sent me after his directions from God? Who do I say sent me? And God spoke from the bush and said, I am that I am, which really translates to I am beingness itself. So when we say the words I am, and in this Morning Pages document, what we're trying to do is affirm our spiritual, godly nature. You might call it your Christ nature, right? Your holy nature. So in the very center of the page, we start the day with this belief. We start the day with this idea. And so, and by the way, I'm doing a whole class just on the I am because of how important I believe this is and the tremendous change I've seen in myself since doing this. But on this document, we at least start in the center with I am. And you can get very creative with it. So, for instance, if you have a really big day that may be a challenge, you might say, I am powerful, or I am joyful, or I am peace, or I am love, or I am that I am, to really claim that God nature. I am. I am my infinite self. I am. I am God's goodness in expression. I am. And so what we do, if there's a certain need we have in the day, we start the day with the intention that the I am that God is, right, is going to come in and through us and start moving as us in the world. I mean, it's a very, very powerful moment to claim your I am. And it starts out the whole feeling tone of your day. I am, and then you fill in the blank. Often I've written, I am happiness. I am joy. I am peace. I am my infinite self. I am. So see, the energy in the booth, the energy in the studio has already shifted with me claiming my I am. If we're in church, I'd say, raise your hand. Can you feel that? Dave, would your hand be raised?
I'm raising both of them.
Both of them, yeah. Good. Right. So you see, it's really powerful. The other piece that we'll work on more in the class is how to use different colors to work with the chakras in all of these as well. So we'll save that for class because it's too in-depth to go into now. So the first is, I am. Then from that place, we can go into saying our gratitudes. And this is just the order I do them in. You can certainly do them in any order you like, but this order to me feels real complete because as we start in the middle, then we go left and then kind of clockwise around. So then we go into gratitudes. And the gratitudes are so important to state every day because we know that gratitude is the great multiplier. Whatever we give thanks for, it definitely brings more of that into our life. So gratitudes can be for things that we already have, for people. And my gratitudes, honestly, are always people or sometimes my animals. But it's never been for things, actually. It's always been for people. Although recently when I moved, I guess was saying gratitude for my new home. But that brings up another aspect to the gratitude, which is I was giving thanks for my new home before I was even in it. Because I thought I want to get into the same mindset of having the new home before I'm even there. And so in my daily gratitudes, when I was writing everything I was grateful for, at the bottom, I started giving thanks in advance for things that I knew were coming my way, but I wanted to give thanks as if I already had them. And that's been a very powerful practice for me. So what it felt like, and this was a surprise to me, but what it felt like was, like with my new home in particular, I had gotten so into the feeling nature of that when I was in my new home and I wrote down new home as a gratitude, I just kind of giggled and started laughing. I was like, oh, you know what? I was so in the mindset of this already. It feels exactly the same as when I was giving thanks in advance because I had really gotten into the feeling tone of the gratitude. So gratitudes are about giving thanks. Yes, they're giving thanks for people, for situations, for anything. You can give thanks to God. You could give thanks for family members, whatever, is working for you that you want to acknowledge as, good, as godly in your life. Write it down. But it is important to write it down. You can't just look at the page. You've got to write it down. And then to give thanks in advance also is a wonderful practice on gratitudes. The next aspect of the morning page is the daily task, which is, I call this really daily tasks from the universe. And this is a wonderful practice of listening to the inner voice of spirit and receiving guidance for your day. So what does this mean? Well, usually I make I write a 1, 2, 3 down on the daily task, and I ask the universe, I ask God, Spirit, what is mine to do today? And what I do is I go into a time of silent, receptive prayer or meditation, and I listen, what would God have me do or be today? And I'm amazed because sometimes as I say these things, sometimes it's like, go to the grocery store. Sometimes it's, call a friend. Sometimes it's do your forgiveness work or, check your email. One time it kept coming through to balance my checkbook. And I thought that was really strange. And I kind of avoided it. And later in the day, it was like, balance your checkbook. It like came through I was going throughout my day and I had this idea and it was a good thing I looked because, I don't know, it was obviously a mistake in accounting because, something would not have gone through. And I can't tell you, it's been 30 years since I bounced a check. And thank goodness that daily task was speaking to me. I went to the bank, I deposited money, worked it out. The other check had not gone through, but it actually went through. I found out later that same night. So literally listening to the voice of spirit saved me bank charges. I never had an experience like that where it was such a direct, like I feel like it kind of saved me, So the daily task can be what we would consider very spiritual, or it could be, TCB, taking care of business, go to the grocery store, do the laundry. And oftentimes what we will receive from the universe in terms of direction, we won't know how we can get it done. And this has happened to me many times where I get guidance to do something and I'm thinking, how is that going to happen today? And I also began to get in the practice of even looking at my work calendar as I go into this, because I say, okay, Spirit, I know what the world is asking of me today. What is mine to do? So anyway, one day I got the guidance, go to the grocery store, which often for me can go into self-care as well. But I was low on some groceries and my schedule was really busy. And I thought, yes, I need to go to the store, but when will I do it? And I was fighting with Spirit about writing it down. And I know this sounds like a small thing, but I wrote it down anyway because I thought, I never know why I get these certain things. So I wrote it down. Well, I was on my way from one appointment home and, I was going to go right into another appointment. And I got a text message that my appointment had just canceled. And I said, oh, now I know where I'm going to the grocery store. And so it's these little ways. I have a friend that calls these God winks. And to me, these little ways that knows I'm connected with the whole universe and that God loves me very, very much, enough to give me information that I need to go throughout my day, information that I need to take care of myself and my family. So the daily task can be very empowering. It can also make you feel very, very connected to the universe as you see how divine order works in your favor as you set the intention, to accomplish these things for the day. I think, too, the self-care piece, which is the next quadrant in the morning pages, self-care for me is so important, and I think for everyone. I often think that my parents' generation, if I said the word self-care, they wouldn't even know what it meant. I barely know. My son's going to know, though. And so self-care, even though I have certain goals around self-care, like I have, goals around every area of my life. And in my self-care, there are things I do every day, every week, every month. But sometimes there's something real specific I need to do for a certain day, like a few weeks ago is a good example. I'd done a lot of traveling in a short amount of time, and I knew my self-care for the day was going to be I needed to either rest or take a nap in the afternoon, like no matter what. I am going to lay down for an hour, or lie down, I should say, that I'm going to lie down for an hour no matter what because my body needs to rest. And what I used to do is just drink more coffee. Right? So checking in, which is another way of kind of listening to the voice of Spirit within. So see, I'm not writing self-care necessarily that I already know is a goal. I'm going to write things down that I know that are specific to that day and things that I need reminding of. Like still every day, practically, I write the word breathe. Breathe. And that means I take deep breaths. I usually do a minimum of 50 to 100 breaths every morning, in a real meditative state. That's become a real meditation for me. But if I don't write it down, I could go, oh, gotta go. And no, to breathe is self-care. Because to breathe takes me into my heart, takes me into my soul, and connects me with God like nothing else. Breathe. So depending on what you have for the day, you want to check in with Spirit on what would really serve you. What would support your soul's journey for the day? What is your self-care need? Sometime it might be to take an Epsom salt bath. Sometime it might be to completely unplug your phone for the day. And I'm becoming a fan of that, I can tell you. So, yeah, what is the self-care that you need? And remember, we don't do self-care and forget everybody else. We do self-care so that we can bring to life our best self. I'm not going to, go, oh, yes, I'm just going to be over here floating in a bath while my son is struggling with homework. No, I'm going to help my son do what he needs, and I'm still going to take care of myself. There's something about, I don't know if it's being a woman in the South, or just the time I grew up, it was kind of like you always just take care of everybody. But the truth is, if you're not also taking care of yourself, you're not very healthy at taking care of others. So it's something I really strive to do. And I also want to be a good model of it for my son so that as he grows and develops, he'll know to also take good care of himself, so.
Yeah, and last month walking through the process of
Mhm.
with Larry's passing and everything, we really had to have we had to be really focused on self care, and it's times like bereavement and a
Mhm.
death in the family where it kind of it brings to the surface, wow, self care is really
Oh,
important, but it doesn't take a death in the family to mean you still need self care.
yes, exactly, and you're so right, Dave, and I'm glad you guys did, and I've had to as well. Sometimes it's just resting.
Hmm.
Grief is exhausting, and so, like, watching a dumb movie or just lying down for a while and reading or drawing or just completely turning everything off and being quiet
Hmm.
or playing a game, whatever you need. It's so important around grief to, yeah, really honor whatever it is you need. I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well, and frankly, we're all in a grief process right now because everything we've ever known is
Yeah.
changing, daily.
Yeah, and tomorrow is election day, right?
Oh, Lord of mercy. Say a prayer, y'all.
Tomorrow, because this episode, is it's November 2nd, and I think November 3rd is election day. So
Yes, yes, I
yeah.
hadn't even thought of that. That's right.
Mm.
We hope you've voted already. Many people I know have been
Yeah.
voting by mail. So the last quadrant I want to talk a little bit about, and it is all these in my mind are equally important. The only one I would say is a more important, the most important is the one in the middle, the I am, and then all the other quadrants, gratitudes, daily task, self care, and affirmation are all the working of your I am, really. So, the affirmation is about affirming from the highest level what it is you're trying to bring forward for the day. And even though I have daily statements I read, I have a vision statement for my life, I have a mission statement, I even have 3 affirmations I read every morning besides. So there are 5 statements I already read every morning. But then my affirmations are just another way to just kind of boost my self confidence. They're a way to boost my connection with spirit, and it's a way for me to own my infinite self. And so, an affirmation for me might be, I am aligned with my highest self. My infinite self is guided and directed. My life is in perfect order. All things are working out for me. God loves me, and I am God's. Something like that, just owning I am free, I am at peace, I am love. I am loved and supported by the whole universe. All I need is being provided. Everything is working out for me. All is truly well with my soul. And every affirmation I end with every day at the very end, all is truly well with my soul. And if I can't say that, if there's a disturbance in my spirit, I go work it. I want every day to be able to say, with all the integrity and authenticity, all is truly well with my soul. So, this affirmation really often takes me right back to the I am. What I'm doing is I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it in written form of what it is I want to be bringing forward. So, if your I am for the day is I am peace, then the affirmation is I am the essence of peace in all situations. Everything I need is provided for me. The peace of God is always available to me. I rest in God's peace today. All is truly well with my soul. So, friends, I hope you're feeling into this, and I hope you will begin working with this because the use of affirmation is so, so powerful. All of these 5 quadrants that are it's really 4 quadrants in the center. All of these 5 sections of the morning pages are designed to support the growth and evolution of your soul. When you're complete with these, every morning, you might find a place where you can look at them. If they're real personal and you don't want to share them, then keep them in a place where you can refer to them. I actually usually put them either right by my desk or on my refrigerator so I can look at them all day long and be reminded of what my intention was, what my gratitudes are, what the universe is asking of me, to keep those self-care things, and then my affirmations. So that, many, many times a day, I'm looking at this and being reminded that I'm here as a soul to grow and evolve. I'm here as a soul to own my highest self and then live that in the world. So friends, I hope you will take this time to begin either begin your morning spiritual practice or expand on it. And I want to really encourage you to have a specific time and place and routine around your spiritual work. And remember that as you do it, it's really going to build energy for you, and it's going to help you tap in even quicker to the special sacred energy that God is in you. And then as you do the morning pages, you're going to tap into all the main aspects of the journey to get you going in the right direction so that you can be of service to God, so that you can be living a life on purpose and act in the best interest of your soul. And remember, our goal is to help you grow, prosper, and evolve as you go through this journey we call life. So we thank you, dear friend, for joining us today. As always, we bless you on the journey. We are so, so grateful that people all around the world are tapping into this with us. And know that we lift you up. We pray for you. We see God's highest and best in your life in every way possible. So thank you for joining us on the journey. Blessings, dear friends.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey presented by Natural Awakenings Magazine, Zen Living Realty, and Supportek Staffing. This channel is also made possible through the continued support of our angel patrons, Aggie Payton, Anna Evans, Arlene Meyer, Diana Cox, Leslie Williams, Nora Miles, Sean Kilgore, Susanna Garcia, and Taryn Tucker. If you'd like to support the channel as a patron on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2020, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.